I'm super pumped about this. This is the most expensive liquor I've ever had.
Yeah, we buy these things unless we get a sponsor.
Yeah, we don't get so we love you, the horse you rode out on, but we still have to pay for this stuff.
Goodness.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Barcast. My name is Brad. This is Christian, and we are at the horse you rode out on. What the fuck?
Sorry.
If this is the first time you're visiting this channel, welcome to Own the Chaos. It's the world of business and finance is a crazy and chaotic place, and it's my job to help you own it. And so that's what we're doing here at the Barcast. You know, this is kind of the business piece. All throughout the week, I usually talk about stocks and finance and how to manage that crazy place. And, you know, but I also have a business, and so does Christian. And so we're just trying to help other entrepreneurs, you know, inspire them and kind of like be there for them as they go through their struggles and to get to the top of their mountain, whatever that is. And we have fun while doing it. We kind of talk about whatever we want, have a good time. And that's basically all this Barcast is for. So if you like it, give us a thumbs up. We certainly would appreciate that. And we have a special day for you, special cast. I don't know what you're doing over here.
I'm just ready to speak. I want to speak. I'm seeing how long we're 2.5 minutes in.
That's because we were dicking around the first minute and a half.
That was a long intro.
But
it was good. You switched it up a little
damn
bit.
good, wasn't it?
Yeah, like the whole finance, like the way you explained it, I thought was pretty cool. Usually you're like Own the Chaos and you explain it. You explained it, talked about Own the Chaos. So that's good. I've always been trying to get you to talk about the Barcast differently, which I will eventually do.
Should brand the Barcast. Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Well, no. Like you talk about your motivation for the Barcast. Like my motivation is different. Like
That's true.
My motivation, I don't care. Like, it's about us. It's about us. This is what the Barcast is about for me. I care about what I want to do is talk about the journey with my friend who's a fellow entrepreneur. And if you get stuff from it, great. But I don't come here sitting down trying to give you any information. Not because I don't care about you. I do care about you people.
You're trying to give them laughs, though. You're trying to make them laugh.
Hey, listen. Drink more Jack.
Don't be an ass.
We got so much good stuff going on. I shouldn't be talking to the camera.
I'm feeling good, man.
So, I mean, do you want to just talk real quick about the changes we're making?
Yeah.
So first, exciting news. We are in the process of finalizing the new Barcast logo.
Which we touched on last time.
Yes. So we should pick a finalist today.
Yeah.
We should pick the winner today, and then it'll take about a week to make some tweaks.
Yep.
And so you guys are going to be seeing... we need to decide if we're going to unveil it right away, because I actually don't think we should unveil it until...
Yeah, I don't think so either.
the beginning of the year, but maybe we'll do like a teaser on social media. But that's going to be done, which we'll be able to do T-shirts, right?
Yep.
I'd love to do T-shirts.
Yeah, oh yeah, we'll do it. So the thing of it is, guys, is I've always envisioned the Barcast as being like the one big thing that everybody comes to, that everybody can kind of relate to.
Yeah.
The stock market stuff is cool, but then this just kind of gives it a little bit of a different flair. I've had like mixed feelings about it because it's not actually stock related, but at the same time, and we've talked about this before, I wish we would have gotten this on camera, but about how you know, how is it that ESPN can have all different sports on?
Yep.
You know, but YouTube is just like a whole different animal. It's like the 1 second you deviate from the focus topic that you're on, people flip out. But I think that people might just come and watch the Barcast, and that's fine. That's cool.
And if they don't, I could care less.
Yeah, I mean, it is whatever. But
Is it I could care less or I couldn't care less?
could not care less.
I could not care less.
But nevertheless, we are going to be having some guests on soon, and like just
Yep. And then today we're making a
pumped.
change today. We're just making little tweaks. And this is, if you look at our original Barcast, we talk about. I'm having trouble going back and forth today. I'm just going to look at you. If you look at our original Barcast, you know, we're really living by what we talk about, which is, you know, we have a direction and we're just tightening the screws little by little. We're making little tweaks.
Yep.
And in the moment, you can't really tell, but if we go back,
oh my god,
you know, that's going to be cool when we have our format set to look back. So the changes for today, we have a couple changes. Normally we do the People's Toast at the end. We're going to move it right after the toast competition.
Yep.
So we bring a toast. I usually have a better toast, but we let the fans vote on it. We bring our own toast, vote on it. We'll do the people's toast right afterwards, so where the fans can actually submit toasts.
That's right.
And then we'll get into a little bit of a business conversation. Hopefully some investing is tied into that. And then at the end, we're going to add an entrepreneur piece. So I created some fun facts about a entrepreneur, and we're going to allow you, the viewers, to submit the comments who you think the entrepreneur is. But we'll get to all that. But yeah, that's an added element today.
Yeah. And we're at the horse you rode out on. I don't know if anybody caught on to that. Every time I've always welcomed you the horse you came in on.
Yes.
And now we're in the horse you rode out on. So if you guys, just a quick explanation, there's two sides of the bar. One side is the horse you came in on. The other side is the horse you rode out on. This is the Cantina side, which technically we've been a part of anyway, but this is kind of like a whole other element. This is tequila based, whereas the other side of the bar is whiskey based. And speaking of tequila, that's going to be our featured liquor of the day.
Yeah, so should we just get right into it?
Let's do it. I'm super pumped about this. This is the most expensive liquor I've ever had.
Yeah. We buy these things. Unless we get a sponsor.
Yeah, we don't get, so we love you, the horse you rode out on, but we still have to pay for this stuff.
Goodness.
And we happily pay for it. So this is the first ever tequila that we've had on the show.
Yeah.
And we did it up big.
We did. We went big.
This is the Jose in a plastic bottle. This is.
So before every podcast, we actually talk about some liquors. So Mark, the manager here, will offer some suggestions, and we'll talk through it with him. So we thought we'd do tequila today, and so we started with Herradura, and we kind of went up, up, and then we landed on this. This is Seleccion Suprema. Okay, so it's extra añejo. It's expensive. So I'm just going to read this, and then I'll explain what extra añejo is. So, exclusively handcrafted and bottled at pure agave. Its extended aging of 49 months in imported oak barrels creates a tequila that is exceptionally smooth and mellow.
And we couldn't have left Jack out of the equation. So those imported barrels are actually Jack Daniel's barrels.
That's why we thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, and so that's pretty cool.
So real quick, you may be asking, Cash? From Cash here at Instagram. Cash here. Dava, hook it up, baby. Cash here. What's an añejo? So let's find out what an añejo is. So añejo is just aging process. So it's a minimum of 1 year, maximum of 3 years. This is extra añejo, which I'm not very well versed in general, but I don't know of any other extra añejo, so I think they kind of made this up. Could be wrong, but it's matured for 49 months. So that's outside of, obviously it's a little over 4 years.
Yeah.
So I think perhaps they couldn't call it an añejo, so they call it extra añejo.
Gotcha.
So this is an extra añejo. We're supposed to be looking for cooked agave, rich vanilla, dry fruit flavor.
I mean, it smells amazing. I've been
Now,
sitting here
sir,
sniffing it the whole time.
our toasts.
Yes.
So the toast competition. Reigning champion should
Again,
start,
every
or-
episode, Christian and I go over toasts, and we don't know. I don't know yours. You don't know mine.
Mine are originals. His are usually Googled.
Yes.
So should the champ start or the
Go.
sucker
Just go.
start? Okay. My toast today. Short and sweet.
Finally.
How I don't like them. So my toast today is to Dixie Chicks and Whiskey Dicks. Two things I could live without.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That one's pretty good. That one's pretty good. All right. Mine is highly inappropriate, but I'm going with it.
All right, I'm
F
looking forward to it.
All right. Here's to the storks that bring good babies, the crows that bring bad babies, and the swallows that bring no babies at all.
I can drink to that. Cheers.
Whoa.
It's a lot going on.
It's very
it's
complicated.
smooth.
Yeah. It's really easy to drink. You can definitely taste the oak.
Yeah.
That really comes out in it.
That's the first thing I've ever tasted where I feel like I don't have a developed palate,
Me either.
but I feel like you're right. That second
Yeah.
drink, your face wasn't.
No, I
as-
was like trying to like taste it. I can pick the vanilla up too.
That was the first one that I actually felt like I saw some different shit. What?
Because you get a little raspy.
I felt like I could like pick up some things. I can taste the vanilla. Mm-hmm. I think the fruit, and we're getting a call.
It's all good.
There's always something.
No.
So that was like you could taste a little bit of an aftertaste.
It's warm. I'm warm.
Yeah, but it was smooth.
Yeah, really good.
It was smooth. We should call this Cash Select.
Damn good stuff.
Yeah.
This retails for about $60 a shot.
And then this box makes them able to charge probably an extra $50 on the bottle.
That's right.
Got a cool little horseshoe. This is legit. I like it.
That's very, very good. Good stuff.
All right, so now the People's Toast.
Now we're going to be doing the People's Toast right. So if you think you can do better than Christian or myself, then submit your toast to hashtag People's Toast on your favorite social media platform. We'll go and search it out, and you just might be on the next Barcast. So having said that, let's go ahead and check out this week's People's Toast.
Here's to you and here's to me. The best of friends will always be. But if we were to disagree, fuck you and here's to me.
All right, well, that one was a pretty good one. So let us know what you guys thought in the comments below. And again, if you can do better, please hashtag People's Toast. We would love to see what you guys come up with.
Now let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So you said that you've been reading a book.
Yeah, I learned how to read this weekend, and I'm taking full advantage of it. No, I've been reading this book. So I've been really getting into my routine hardcore.
Yeah.
And it's going really well. One of the elements I added was reading to it, so I try to read a chapter a day. New book I'm reading with actually one of my clients is Radical Candor.
It's with a client? So your client's
No,
also...
I'm sorry. We're doing like a kind of like a book club.
Oh, okay.
So she's reading it at the same time as I'm reading it, and then we talk about it. Okay. So Radical Candor by Kim Scott. You heard of this book?
No.
Okay. Other than me telling you about it
other than
before
that.
we recorded it.
Before you told me about it, I had not heard about it.
So it's really good. So it's funny because I get a lot of people who come to me like, you should read this book. You're like, it's totally like you. And I'm like, well, why should I read a book about stuff I already do or know? So I'm usually weird about that stuff. But it's actually really cool. It's really good to read. And she looks at it almost from a scientific approach. But I wanted to talk about one element that that's a part of the book for our conversation today. So the way they set it up, give you a quick little cliff notes, is she talks about management. The idea is giving critical feedback and being able to look at feedback as a positive. And so that's where the Radical Candor comes in, but she breaks it down into these 4 quadrants. So she has an x-axis and a y-axis. And so you go from one end, which is, this is the x-axis, right?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've done math.
Yes.
So this is the x-axis. So on the horizontal axis, you go from silent all the way to outspoken or critical, whatever, we'll say outspoken. And on the bottom to the top, so the y-axis, you go on the bottom is don't give a shit to you care, right?
Right.
So each quadrant basically has elements of that. So if you are high, so you want to get to Radical Candor, which is high on outspoken and high on self-care, or not self-care, on care. So you care about somebody and you're very vocal, so the feedback's coming from a good place, right? Yeah. So quickly, the 4 quadrants are obnoxious aggression, not good, manipulative insincerity, which is also not good. And then the top left quadrant would be the one we're talking about today, which is ruinous empathy, and then Radical Candor.
Yeah.
Ruinous empathy really resonated with me because I think it's very common but counterintuitive. So she tells us this anecdote. The author tells us about how she had a business and she hired this, she thought it was a superstar. She ends up checking the references, great references, great in the interview, everybody loved him. And when she hires him, she gives him this project. She thinks it's right in his wheelhouse. He's going to blow it out of the water, spends months on it, goes to present at this meeting, the team meeting. She's there and he bombs it. It's like, it's a flop.
Yeah.
And so she ends up, instead of critiquing him, she ends up giving him praise, and then afterwards she's fixing it and changing it to deliver it to the client. So he never knew she changed it.
Right.
He never knew she wasn't happy with it. So there's that piece of it. the team's looking at her like, they all know it's garbage. Why isn't the owner saying something?
Yeah.
And so talks about ruinous empathy, and she talks about over time, it ends up basically deteriorating the morale of the team because they end up seeing what the owner's response was, so they start picking up the slack for him. Like, well, the owner's condoning this.
Yeah.
Have the standards lowered, right? So then she feels like the standards are lowered. Other people's work, they're not as productive because they're picking up his slack. She ends up deciding she has to fire him. You know, a period later, she's like, I gotta let this guy go. Sits down with him for lunch, basically says, letting you go, this is why you're not, doing the job, blah, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And he like apparently flips out. This is lunch.
Yeah.
And he's like, you have never given me this feedback. Like, you literally have told me, you've been telling me I've been doing a good job. How am I supposed to fix anything if I know there's if I don't know there's a problem?
Right.
And so it's interesting because I can see myself there as a manager where like sometimes I choose not to say certain things, but also I could see his side of it where it's like, hey, give me feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about this idea of ruinous empathy. Like, you feel bad, but it actually has a very horrible effect. And you would think obnoxious aggression is the worst quadrant, but she implies that ruinous empathy is the worst quadrant.
Well, isn't it funny how, when you're told as a kid, if you don't like something, just tell that person? Or how many times have you, and, this could be, tiptoeing around, playing with fire here a little bit, but, when you are with somebody, or you try something that maybe your girlfriend gave you, she made you dinner or whatever, and you tell her how awesome it is, so then she just keeps making you shit dinner, even though it was terrible, or she burned it to a crisp, So it's like the same thing. It's like, if you just lie to somebody, you're never going to solve the problem.
Well, isn't there also a saying that if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all? Like,
yeah, but I mean, at the same time, that doesn't apply necessarily in business.
No, I'm saying, are we taught that? Are we taught to speak up, or are we conditioned and taught if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all?
That's a fair point. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I was taught that to an extent, but at the same time, I was always taught to be like, listen, if you don't like something, just
let me clarify. I think we're taught if something affects us, or if something, like, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
But I think in regards to hurting others' feelings, I think we're actually conditioned to avoid confrontation.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And that's where I think the rub is. It's like, we don't want to hurt somebody's feeling. The reality is, it's going to hurt either way.
Right.
And we can rip the Band-Aid off, make it hurt at the beginning, and try to work towards fixing it or healing it.
Yep.
Or we could just wait till it's too far gone and have misery, right? Like, it's not going to feel good either way. But I think anybody in their right mind, when they truly process it and as time goes on, they'll appreciate that candor.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. And I mean, can you imagine, what if he was a rock star, and if he was given the proper feedback, then he would have freaking crushed it, and they would have grown like crazy.
So apparently, she doesn't mention who it is, but she said the only reason she felt comfortable putting him in the book is because he actually left the company. Well, the company folded, left the company, and is now killing it in Silicon Valley.
This guy is?
Yeah. I feel like he worked for like Facebook or something, but he got a new role, and she's like, the only reason I feel comfortable talking about it is because he's like one of the top C-levels in Silicon Valley.
That's crazy.
So he did end up killing it.
Man.
And she attributes a huge reason for the demise of the company to that sort of ruinous empathy idea.
Did she express about how much like shit that she felt? She felt after that, not only after leaving him go, but then was like, man, I missed out on like having this really amazing.
Yeah, I don't think she dwells on that, but she talks about how she felt, how poorly she felt just experiencing that, and she was blindsided. Like, she didn't even realize it, but when he says it, like, she's reflecting on it. It's a great idea, and I think we all do it. I think we all do it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I think we have to balance like when to give feedback, because there is such thing as too much feedback.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Right, and so
you don't want to diminish somebody's morale, and
you don't want to diminish their morale. You don't want them to think that like they're doing everything wrong.
Right.
And I talk about it a lot to my clients. It's like you need to be very focused in the information you're giving. So you need to give 2 or 3 things from a feedback perspective so they know what to work on. If you're given a new thing every time, like what's priority? What's priority?
Right.
So this was priority for her. Should have been priority for her to focus on with him. So I think there's a balance between feedback. Also, there's a praise element to that.
Yeah.
But if you can give the feedback, you're breaking them down to a certain extent, but they're still there. They have an opportunity to turn around, and you could frame it in a way. It's like we're gonna do this together, and you can build them back up.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever like experienced that type of experience yourself?
I'll give you a perfect example. So there was a nightclub I used to run. So I used to run it. It was a nightclub and a bar, same owner. So I oversaw both of them, and I came on when the nightclub had already been around for like 6-7 years.
Yeah.
We were in the process of opening this bar, and so I inherited this manager. And he was young, he was green, and he had no clue.
Yeah.
And basically, I had to essentially demote him because he was supposed to be the GM, and I'm like, nah, I'm going to be the GM.
Yeah.
You're going to have to learn how to be a manager. And I remember he cried. He was he was devastated, but he ended up becoming the GM of the new bar. And he was a star. He moved on, like we both moved on, but we have a great relationship to this day. And it ended up being a positive, but it was hard that moment, and I didn't know what was going to happen or how it was going to play out when you have somebody who's breaking down. I'm like, I could lose him in a week.
Yeah.
But I think as he thought about it more, he realized it's true. I have work to do, and it's not malicious. I have Christian here as support, and he got better. He developed. He was a student. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
That takes a lot for somebody to really kind of like see that about themselves. When
absolutely, I have so much respect.
Taking the criticism is just as important, I think, as giving it.
Yeah, and I have so much respect for people. It's easy to receive praise. It's easy to be in a space where like you're killing it. You think you're killing it and whatever, but to be able to accept feedback, even that you don't want to hear, and to then be able to build back up, that's something that not many people can do. They think they can do it, but it's hard, especially when you're expecting, hey, I'm at this level, I made it, and somebody knocks you down.
Right.
That's tough.
Yeah, I mean, do you know who's a natural at that?
Who?
Jacob Amaral.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Jake is a huge...
Who's Jake?
He's my partner. We've talked about him a million times.
I know, but what if this is their
All right, fine. If this is the first time you're watching this, Jake is my partner over at WeTradeHQ.com.
Co-founder, yeah.
Yes. Co-founder. And, he's the one that built the website. So anytime there's bugs, something doesn't work, something doesn't feel right, he's always the first one to be like, just lay it out for me. If it's shit, just tell me it's shit, straight up. Like, don't even beat around the bush. And then we tell him, and then he just goes right to work. And that's the one thing that like a lot of the mentors also like find valuable in, what we do is like, they're always like, man, Jake's like always right on top of it. It's like, sometimes we run into headaches or whatever, but like as soon as I tell him, it's done.
Yeah.
And, there's been some instances where we've had previous mentors that maybe weren't as clear about what they were wanting. And, but now it's like, Jake was like, man, if I'd known this all along, then it wouldn't have been a problem. And now we do have a system that's amazing just on the mentor side of the experience, and then it translates into the mentee side of the experience too.
Well, and he's been adamant about it. I respect that about him. I think as an organization, we're all that way.
Yeah.
But he receives the most criticism because his product's right on the forefront.
Right.
But it enables us to move quickly because there's no feelings that get stepped on. It's like, give me the feedback and let's work.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
And we go into it with him having the understanding that we're not trying to come down on him. It's just we got to take care of this and then move on to the next thing. And like he's ridiculously efficient when it comes to that sort of thing. He's like, okay, I'm on it. Let's go solve this problem. And that's another one of those things where like, we talk about this all the time, that it's so rare to find partners that work so well together. And even just the three of us that work so well together, nobody's feelings get hurt. There's no drama. And, that's something that I feel like blessed to like have is like, that's one thing that I've never actually had to worry about is like coming to him with something or a problem or whatever that needs to be fixed. And then he's sitting there all ho-hum trying to like sulk in his feelings, and then finally gets around to doing the work.
Absolutely, and that's, I think we have an organization that employs a radical candor, and I always try to kind of tie it up, and the crux of the message is, like, if you own a company, you really need to think about how you're giving feedback, and are you living in that manipulative insincerity where you don't want to hurt somebody's feeling, so you're actually like telling them to do a good job, but behind their back they may or they may not realize like that they're actually not.
Right.
Or, you know, so it's our duty as entrepreneurs and as managers to really develop people and get them better, and we can't develop people without giving them critical, honest feedback.
Yep.
Boom.
That was perfect.
Yeah, so with that said, we're going to add the entrepreneur spotlight.
Let's do it.
Who am I? So I've got some clues.
Then, if you get this right, we'll pin you to the top of the comments. So if you guess the entrepreneur,
Yep.
you get it right. Make sure you put it down in the comments below, and then if you get it right, we'll pin you.
So I have a few personal, a few business facts. So, who am I? I am adopted. I am related to George Strait, famous country singer. I was one of the first investors in Google. I coined the term work-life harmony because work-life balance implies the two are separate, where I think they're interconnected. My company was originally called Cadabra, but I later changed the name since it was being misheard as Cadaver. In my company, we're obsessed with customer service. In fact, every employee needs to spend 2 days every 2 years on the service desk handling calls. I even do that.
Wow.
Who am I? You know? I already told you.
Yes, I know. But some of those facts, I was like, really?
And so I tried to pick interesting facts that aren't obvious.
Yeah.
So it's somebody you all know.
Yes.
It's a company you all know.
Somebody you all know. So
CEO.
leave comments down below, and if you're right, we'll pin you to the top of the comments. Obviously we're gonna have to pick. If you all get it right, we'll pick somebody. But anyways, leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think it is. I think this is a really cool part of the Barcast that we're just adding. Again, we're constantly evolving, constantly changing. So let us know what you guys think. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe if you want to see more Barcasts such as this. And as always, guys, I will see you all before the bell. B. Smith is